Hello, everyone. So we have how many percent here? So we have 93% here. Ooh, I see a lot of familiar names. Hello, CK. Hello, Celine. Hello, Amiru. So if your friend are interested but they are not in here yet, you can share to them up so can have them to join as soon as possible because we are starting very soon. Hey, thank you for the love. You. Okay, cool. So we have quite a few of people here already. We have around 100 of them. So it's also already 8. So let's just start our live session. Cool. So in this beautiful night, right? So and we are in Aiesec Facebook page. So let's a quick one. Hey Aiesec. So I know that you cannot open your mic and tell me what's up, but what you can do is to type 66666 in your left at the chat box. So let me know who is in the house by typing 66666. Ooh, 6666 from Aiesec and UMP. Wow, wow, wow. A lot of people is here. Let's see who has the longest 6. Cool, cool, cool. Hello, everyone. Hello. Ooh. Cool, cool, cool. So the typical next question that will come after this is, how are you feeling? You can let us know as well. How are you feeling by sending stickers or putting down excellent? Ooh, Isaac in JB is here. Oh, wow, wow, excellent. Seems like you all have a very full dinner and very energetic now. I hope that in the next 1 hour you wouldn't fall asleep. Yay, excited, cool. Okay, so also let me know as well who is a graduate in the house, and also who is the one preparing for working right now. That this is also the main reason that you are here, right? So let us know who are the people in the house as well. Ooh, we have people that is way to graduating. We also have a university student. We have graduate here. We have someone that's looking for internship. Any more? We have someone that's also hunting for job. Your chance is here. Oh, we also have people that are here to just understand their experience. Ooh, internship. Yeah, we also have people that is looking for internship. We also have people from first year to prepare yourself. Ooh, earlier preparation is always a good job to do. Fresh grad. Okay, cool. So, you know what? All of you are in the right place. So, all of you are in the right place here. So I will tell you no why I will say that you are in the right place. So just for information, right, today we are very glad that we will have Ling, Wendy and Jonathan from Digi to be with us on this beautiful night and on this cozy night. So what are they going to do? They are going to share with us on how to leverage on your university experience to land your first job. And I guess this is also what you all want to, you all curious to know about, right? That especially those who is very active in co-curriculum activity in your university, you might be wonder, does all this co-curricular experience actually helping? So no worries, they are going to let you know. You are going to know more insight from tonight. And then beside that, they are also going to share with us as well their experience working in Digi as well as CXO Apprentice. So you might be curious, what is Digi CXO Apprentice program that you keep seeing the poster everywhere on our platform as well as on LinkedIn. So it's okay, I'm going to tell you now. So but before that, let's watch a short video clip to have an overview of what is this program about. Okay. Okay, so I heard from the comment is that the video do not have sounds, but it's okay. You can always find the video on YouTube. So as young people, we need to be resourceful, right? So if you want to know more, it's a time for you to take action, to go on their webpage or at YouTube to actually know more about the video lah. But at the same time, after this, we will be sharing this video as well for you to have an overview. But it's okay. So just for for the overview and also for your information. So the CXO Apprentice program is actually a 12 months 12 months of mentorship program where throughout this whole program you will be tagged to one of the 8 Digi chief official, the CXO, and as well as you will be mentored by them in different fields, for example, business, finance, marketing, CEO. Yep. And most importantly, the unique point of this program is that there will be only top 8 candidates that will be selected, and it will be, and I foresee, and I can be sure that it will be a great learning opportunity for those who are looking for a job and for those who are looking for further personal development. Cool. So without further ado, let's welcome our speaker and also moderator for tonight. So a little bit introduction for the speaker and also moderator for tonight. We have Veronica, the moderator for tonight, which is also the president of Aiesec Malaysia. And then we have Chui and Wendy, which is from Digi, which is also Aiesec alumni. For more about their Aiesec experience, they will talk about later. And then lastly, we have Jonathan, which is one of the CXO apprentices, to be here to share with us on their experience. And I hope that you all will enjoy the life together with them. And so, okay, so they are ready, and okay, let's I will pass the floor to them, and also you can also put a big clap in the chat box to welcome them. Okay, cool. So I will pass the floor to them. Hello.
Right. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Lumin, for the very interesting opening since just now. And yeah, so I'm Veronica, and whoever that is within Aiesec, I think you will recognize me. I'm the current president of Aiesec Malaysia, and also for those alumni, welcome back again. Whoever that is also here, that you are from non-Aiesec background, I wish you have more fun tonight and also get to know a little bit more about Aiesec and also Digi as well. I think, first of all, I really want to welcome both Wendy and Trilly to be back to refresh a little bit their days in Aiesec, talking with us. And also, of course, Jonathan. I just met him only in this live itself, but we had some interesting chat before this to get to know each other as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to have more conversations with the 3 of you tonight, and also to answer to the questions that the people that are gonna ask during this live, right? So I think just to very, very quickly warm up a little bit, maybe we can have like a very quick, 30 seconds introductions about who you are, what is the interesting thing you wish us to know about you, or anything that you want to introduce yourself to whoever that's on live now. So I think maybe we can start with the guest first, right? The person that's non-Aiescer, Jonathan. So you will get the privilege to be the first person. Then maybe you can introduce yourself to us, like who are you? Yeah. So hi, Jonathan. You want to go with it first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Veronica. Thank you very much, Lermin, and thank you, Aiesec Malaysia, for doing this. Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Dayson. Unfortunately, I'm not an Aiesec. I don't know why. Actually, there's a funny story for this is that in my first year of university, I actually applied to be an Aiesec because I had several seniors who were Aiesecers themselves, and they told me that Aiesec is this great and wonderful organization. So I applied because I really did believe that. Unfortunately, I got rejected. But I think the lesson that I learned from it is that, in truth, is that in life, you never really know what to expect tomorrow. You know, as long as you keep going, you keep learning from your experiences, you pivot, you face challenges, you reevaluate and be quite agile. There's always a tomorrow that can be quite different. You never really know what to expect. And I never expected being on this panel today. So I guess I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. A little bit about me. I studied in UNIMAS, University Malaysia Sarawak. So anybody from Aiesec, UNIMAS, say hi.
Wow. East Malaysia.
Yeah, East Malaysia. It was fun. I studied international studies or international relations. Sometimes it's called that in different universities as well. In uni, in terms of co-curricular activities, I was quite active. I was part of this organization called ICMS, International Council for Malaysian Scholars and Associates. And I was very active in debate, English language debate, as well as Model United Nations. So quite a packed extracurricular life. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Okay, cool. So are you a West Malaysian? Are you from West Malaysia or East Malaysia first?
No, I'm from West Malaysia. So studying in Sarawak was literally my first time going there. My first flight there was my first time going there, and that was to register on my first day for university.
Interesting, because as a West Malaysian myself, when I went to East Malaysia, I did have a lot of culture shock as well. So I assume you will have similar experience. Very nice. So maybe we can have Wendy next.
Sure. Hey, Aiesec, what's up?
What's
I'll do it
up?
myself. Okay, hi everyone. It's very, very good to be back and to be speaking in an organization that has really impacted me a lot as a person. So hi everyone, my name is Wendy and I actually graduated from University of Nottingham back in 2016. So I graduated as an international communications studies student. See, it's quite long ago, so I kind of, and so my last position in Aiesec was actually the Vice President of Outgoing Exchange. I'm not sure whether it is still called the same, because I know in Aiesec also we value a lot about branding and we are very relevant, and the naming also changed along with how the current reality is. So my last position was actually VP OGX. And so then right after I graduated, I actually joined Digi. I was the CXO Apprentice in the first batch. I was mentored by the CEO, Alban. He is also our current CEO. And yeah, so then I'm actually entering my 4th year now in Digi. I'm 3 years and 10 months now. Crazy times, learn a lot. Been a very, very fruitful journey. And yeah, it's really good to be back in Aiesec and to share about my experience, and hopefully we will be able to interact more later when you guys ask questions.
Amazing. Yeah, I remember Wendy was my senior back then when I was just
Oh my God.
Not trying to expose the age. Okay, but I'm pretty much almost similar age with me, because she's from Nottingham and I was from UPM, right? So I remember when Wendy was still in Aiesec, I was just junior back then when, yeah, we still do the same. We are still doing exchange. Yes.
Okay.
So it's very nice, the feeling to engage with people who, back then I was like little member in Aiesec and then looking out to what seniors were doing and all. So it brings me back a lot of memories as well. Then I think, yes, we can have one more dinosaur from Aiesec, which is Chaylin. She was also from talent management background, where we call people management right now, but she has also something interesting to introduce herself. So yes, Chaylin, you can take over.
So hi everyone, hey Aiesec. It's been a while since I've been able to say that. Yeah, so it's been a while since my last Aiesec sharing. The last was probably in UUM, probably 3-4 years ago with my some alumni. But just some brief introduction about me. So I studied from the University of Nottingham also. So anyone from UNMC, just shout out in the comments. So I studied psychology, and I started my Aiesec journey also in LC UNMC. So my last role in Aiesec was the MC VP of Talent Management in Aiesec in Malaysia. So I think the interesting fact is probably what my role is today, which I'm in Digi now and also handling talent management. So if you can see the connection between what I was doing in Aiesec versus what I'm doing now, it's quite similar, and maybe I'll get to share about that later. I've been in Digi also for about 4 years now, close to 4 years. Aside from managing talent management, I'm also managing the CXO Apprentice program. So looking forward to sharing with fellow alumni members, and also giving back to Aiesec since it's been a while since I've been around.
Amazing, cool. Thanks, Shalene. I hope you girls miss what is that roll call as well. I think the saddest thing about MCO is that we couldn't run conference, we couldn't run summits. So it has been a while as well. Like Isaacers were all at home for a very long time. So yeah, so I think let's quickly jump into the conversation because I'm pretty sure I want to use the time more to get more insights from you and that they would have definitely more questions to ask you all as well. So I think first thing first, right? I think a lot of like young people, whether they are still in university or even, you know, those that are facing graduation soon, where a lot of them wouldn't even have their convo and all, right? Because there won't be university basically until the end of it. So I think a lot of us are in a little bit of the situations where things are a bit uncertain and also a bit insecure. So from your own opinion, right, being a senior that have been into your, some of you was your first job or you have been, you know, being in the career industry for a while. So what do you think from your own perspective is the correct mindset to face the reality of future workforce? Because I've been in a lot of like seminars and you know, live content where people were all talking about the new norm. Things will not be the same anymore after the current situations and all. But what do you think instead is the correct mindset for young people now to have to face the reality of a future workforce, for example? So I think any of you that have any thoughts, you can just go with the questions as well.
So maybe I'll just start. So I think even for us in Digi, this past few months has been interesting time to go through in terms of how do we also adapt to this new way of work and a new norm, as people are calling it. But I think for us, reflecting on how the past few months has been, the main thing is really on being agile or having that agility to approach this whole environment, this whole new environment. And what I mean by that is also how do you adapt to the different situation right now. So I think if I were to relate it back to graduates, since most of y'all here are either fresh graduates or graduating soon, it's also how do you stay relevant and how do you be a bit like an octopus in a way, how you then spread out beyond your own specialization. So if you are an engineering student, how do you also then acquire different skill sets or different knowledge at this moment, since you're home most of the time? Hopefully you are not out in the roads at the moment, but how you then use that time at home to really acquire new skill sets during this time, regardless of whether you have already graduated or you're graduating even in a few years' time, is to start today. And how do you then be more agile and acquire more skill sets so that you can adapt based on how the future work environment will be like?
Interesting. Cool. I think that is something that connects to me very much because I think my background was a bit different. I was doing microbiology, then I changed my course to design, right? But along the times when I was in Aiesec, I was doing a lot on marketing and also management. So I think we are in an era that definitely we are learning things in a more multidisciplinary way, that having a generalist skills is no longer sufficient for you to like cope with what's happening in the future. So how about either maybe Wendy or Jonathan, what do you think as the younger part of the generation that are, I wouldn't say it's super fresh, but I would say it's like within your career years until now, how are you seeing this situation with the future workforce as well?
Okay, maybe I'll just add on a bit. I think no matter what happened, and like, you know, I know that's a lot of uncertainties and all that that's going on, but I think something never really changed here is your attitude and also how you would like to react to the situation. I think there's no better time to actually show that how you will actually take ownership of your learning and your own development than now. Because the reason why I actually put this word out is I think one of the biggest learning for me when I was in the CXO Apprentice program is to know how to take ownership of my journey and to know how the kind of experience that I'm expecting out of the program, right? I will need to actually also put in the equal effort to make sure that it will actually, whatever that I'm expecting will also come back to me, because it's also not just about sitting there and waiting for people to come to me and, you know, feeding me stuff so that, you know, I'll be learning and I'll be growing. So I think it's applies same to our current situation. So I think with the current, you know, I think we are living in a very lucky actually situation also, in a way that we actually have internet, which is what Digi is doing. You know, bringing connectivity to people. And so I think it's to really utilize this opportunity to try to figure out also, you know, if let's say you are doing, you were like, for example, yourself, you were doing biology, but what makes you actually decided to actually focus, do more on management and marketing? That is also through a lot of the open mindset and also your ownership towards knowing that you want to develop yourself. So I think this is also the time to actually figure out, okay, maybe if I was doing this degree and I wanted to try something else, maybe I could take up an online course and all sort of things, right? So I think that part about ownership and growth doesn't change. I think like what Chaylin has also already mentioned about the agility, right? I think now that we are all forced to work from home, actually it's also something really new for us. How do we turn every physical meeting to virtual meeting? I think all this is just something quite unexpected as well. But how do we keep an open mind and also to take ownership also on our job? Because we want to do our job well, so we need to also figure out the best way to do things. So yeah, I think that's pretty much.
Yeah. So I think, Wendy, you mentioned a lot about grabbing opportunity and also taking like a more proactive role, other than, you know, just being in an opportunity and seeing what it can give you, but instead to also what you can take as very unique from the experience itself that is meant something for you, right? So maybe for Jonathan, right, we were sharing a lot about like in terms of career, in terms of job and things. But if I were to ask you, like, even though you didn't join Aiesec back then in uni, but you were very active, you were doing a lot of things, right? But if I were to ask you like to think back about your journey since uni to now, like joining this CXO Apprentice program and all these things, what if the thing, what would be the thing if you were to zoom back to your university time that you think is an important skills or important experience that a uni students must have other than the degree? So maybe daily action, it can be something very small or ordinary, but from your point of view, what are the things that even if we are studying instead that is, you know, really, really worth it to have by being in university itself?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question on its own. And I'll probably give a little bit of reflection just to add value to what Chaylin and Wendy has mentioned. I think the important thing, at least in the context of this particular program, and also from a wider picture perspective, is to grow as a person, is to grow your individual character. So oftentimes, how you tell the difference, at least based on my own observation, is that about a person is to know how they spend their free time. Who do they meet? What do they talk to? What do they play with or tinker with? You know, that will give you a lot of color into the picture of that person itself. Of course, it's not always true, and they are making assumptions, but it helps and it goes a long way. So what I have learned as the key takeaway of skill is how to connect with people. And really, this is more of an art than a skill. Because to connect with an individual, you really have to get to know them a lot better. Sometimes it's to know their cultural context, sometimes it's to know their language. And I like to believe that you get better at it the more experiences you have, The more exposure you get, the better you can connect with different kinds of people, especially people from different backgrounds compared to you yourself. So how does this connect with university is that a lot of co-curricular activities are really awesome. They are really great. For example, Aiesec is because it presents a macro structure. And in that macro structure, for example, you go hiking with your friends, right? You will generate a lot of micro moments. And it is these micro moments that people often remember. When you went on a hike with your friends, you start to get to know them, you ask about their background, and you sort of connect with them a lot better. And I think these micro moments are the key takeaways that you will carry over to your career. It's also where you build those kind of soft skills where you try to connect with people, you try to understand where they are coming from. And I think it's very important as well when you start to work with bosses, because although, especially now during MCO, there's only so much you can do with a laptop, and you really have to figure out, right, like, what is that person actually thinking?
The interpersonal skill part, right?
Yeah, and you can't read body language via the screen. It's a bit difficult.
Agree.
And then, sometimes the internet connectivity might not be so stable, so you don't get a video connection, and you sort of have to guess from their voice what they're thinking of. And that is where these micro moments come in very useful, because you can go, I've experienced this before somewhere. And you can sort of link the dots when you reflect and look backwards. I think connecting with people is the art form, and that's the key takeaway that you get when you participate in a lot of activities.
Cool. I think that's a very interesting perspective, because I think it kind of connects with what Wendy was saying, because this is a thing that I only learned in these 1 or 2 years, which is in the beginning of my early days, right? I rely a lot on people to give me the value. Like, for example, I join an opportunity, what do I learn and all? But even in a relationship manner, like building your work relationship or network or friendship, a lot of the time, I started to questions and learn as I go on, in terms of how do I also add values through the network to other people, other than just, receiving. And it can come from a very small act. For example, you have a friend that need a job and whatever, and you see an opportunity and you link it. So I think sometimes this kind of opportunity will bring you further than what you could imagine. Maybe you, like what you say, we just met in a hiking or whatever, and certain relationship can just unfold from there. So I think that's a very interesting perspective. But I have a question for Trillian, right? From, let's say, HR perspective, or being in Digi and all instead, how much do you value these kind of characters or like learnings or experience from young people nowadays? Because I'm pretty much sure that the people that are watching live here, they would want to hear from, the industry itself, because when we were in uni, we might not have the chance to have this kind of conversation. So we might not understand as well. So maybe Trillian, you can also let us know a bit of what is your opinion instead.
So I think in this employment market right now, everyone a lot of people actually would graduate with a degree. It's really then about how do you differentiate yourselves, and even like from the CXO Apprentice program as well, we received like thousands of applications.
Wow.
So what differentiates, what then really stands out about a candidate is really what else they have on top of their degree. So a degree is in a way now like a basic that you bring to the table. So how do you then add on to that? So whether it's extracurricular activities, whether it's joining organizations like Aiesec or ICMS, or even any other organizations out there, for those of you who are not in Aiesec, because I think being part of organizations or being active in extracurricular activities then gives you that experience of working with different kinds of people. You are not only dealing with people who are from your academic background. So for people who study things, who are very in specialized course, like in engineering or even the medical field, you might be surrounded with people who are always speaking about medical terms. And it's also how do you then be adaptable and also be able to communicate with different kinds of people, and the opportunity for you to meet them is through organizations like that.
Understand.
And having that and being part of these organizations is also helps you build that professional skills. You might not feel like it's important now on how do you send a simple email, or even drafting or creating slides or basic Excel skill sets. Some of these things may sound very simple, but you'll be surprised at some of the fresh graduates that we actually hire may not even know what an email should start with, like a typical introduction followed by the content. So it seems very simple, but even basic things like that gives you a head start in your career.
That's amazing. Cool. I think even for no matter when we are talking about hard skill or soft skill, or even a lot of the time, right, I would say even thinking skill, even your brain itself is a muscle. So because I already ended my university for around a year right now, and I don't think so I have connected fully and reflected yet what I have been doing in uni. Have I been fully utilizing or optimizing them? But I definitely also do believe that the amount of effort and time that you spend on shaping these skills and all, one day it will be able to be utilized when the time sort comes, right? So we've been talking a lot about like uni or whether in a career perspective and all. But how about personally for Wendy and Trilin, right? So Trilin, you also mentioned a bit of about like your experience in Aiesec and all just now. Personally for you all, why would you spend so much time in Aiesec? So for example, Trilin, you national team, which is pretty much my experience as well. So even for Wendy as well, like how has Aiesec impacted you? If you were really to connect back to the dots of what you are doing today and also what you were experiencing back then, do those things you experience are still useful for you today, or how is that so?
So I think if I were to go first, so probably if I didn't join Aiesec, I probably wouldn't be in HR or in talent management today. So I actually joined Digi. I joined Nottingham and I studied psychology. And in my first year, my intention was actually to be a clinical psychologist. But actually, then within my first few months, also is when I joined Aiesec. And that's where I got exposed into what HR is or what talent management is. At that point, that's what Aiesec used to call HR. And I think the perspective I got from that is how there's also a larger population of people who are in the workforce who probably needs more support than the smaller segment of people with mental health illnesses. So hence is why I diverted away from the clinical psychology side of things towards more organizational psychology, which is then more closely related to HR. And I think aside from functionally how that has led me to my job today, professionally, I think it has really groomed me in terms of my professional skills. So in terms of how I carry myself, it's also that 3 years in Aiesec, I was in Aiesec even in my first year. And in a way, maybe it's a bit of an addiction to just keep going year on year. But I think the reason is also I saw how I was growing in the process. My intention on joining Aiesec back then was to build up my confidence, and thankfully I had great leaders then who believed in me, and I then took on leadership roles myself, and I felt it was also a fulfilling experience then grooming others to fulfill their potential. And I think that at the end of it, as I walked away from Aiesec, it's not just about driving exchange numbers, but really about how I have developed as an individual. I stepped out of my comfort zone to really lead teams and even ran for MC. And back then I could do part-time MC. So I was actually a full-time student, part-time MC. So I still had to travel from Semenyi to Kelana Jaya, where the MC office is. And I think what I'm left with today is really the network. My closest friends today are all Aiesecers. And it's not just people within my firm. Now I've also expanded to the alumni because I'm also active in Aiesec Alumni Malaysia. So yeah, really it's been like, we call it back then a lifelong journey, a lifelong connection. And no regrets on how that whole journey turned out to be for me.
That's very sweet journey. Yeah. So maybe from Wendy, you want to share a bit of how is your different?
I think why Aiesec is probably one of the most asked questions when I was still in the organization. I think and I think that actually really explained why I joined Aiesec, and then also how it actually made me and as I go along, how it has also helped me to make a lot of decisions in my journey. Maybe to share a bit of story backtrack, right? I think since high school, I'm already the kind of person who loves joining activities. So I can join like, 2, 3, or even, 4 clubs and societies at the same time, and just having fun to fill up my time with all sort of activities, to just commit myself to learn and to talk to people. But I think the question that I never really asked myself is, why do I join all these organizations? A lot of time it seems like it's probably maybe because of the fun, or kind of, peer pressure, because a lot of my friends join, so I kind of join. Or yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I think in high school, never really that someone who actually will ask me, why do I commit so much of my time in the high school into all these activities. So I think it's when I joined Aiesec, when people started asking why Aiesec. Then that actually got me, thinking, why Aiesec really? And even now, when I actually progress, and when I look for a job, I also will ask myself that question: why CXO Apprentice program, and why CXO Apprentice program in DG?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, it's about building that value in me to constantly ask myself why, as I make a lot of this decision, to build that sense of purpose, right, on things that I do, so that along the way I know why I made certain decision, and because of those why, I will be able to commit, and also to stay longer, and to do things that I really and to create things that I really want from the role or the organization. Yeah, so I think that's what Aiesec has really impacted me until today, to really constantly ask that question, and to not compromise on these reasons, even though people might say, you are young and all that, why worried, why think so much, right? But I think it's really as you in hindsight, when I think back, and when I connect the dot backwards, right, I think all these decisions really then make sense to me. And at the end of the day, this is the story I could tell, and I think everyone here should also own their story and own their journey. And all this will really start by having a clear why on why you made this certain decision in your life.
Cool. That's very nice. I think it's interesting, right? Because whatever that Wendy was saying about the why, and also the core of what you were doing, I think in Trilin, when she was sharing, it kind of translated in another way, because I have very similar experience with Trilin, where so I completely have no clue about, actually I have no clue about marketing, management, and HR at all. When I first entered uni, I was like a right? So I think back then, when you took decisions in life, you don't really question that much. You just kind of go with the norm, go with the flow and things. So I think I also felt like I explore another, it's like a whole new world when I understand what is marketing and how much fun is in marketing. Which was a lot of the journey were also unfolded because of all this inner journey, I would say, or the time when my leader were willing to, actually sit down more than your teacher, your parents, your mentor, or whatever back then, to actually ask you, why do you want to take out the decision? Why do you want to run for the next position and all? So I think, thank you very much for the sharing. And then I think maybe connecting back a bit with Jonathan, right? Because we have shared a lot regarding career and university and all. Both of you, like from Wendy and Jonathan, you touched the middle journey, connecting like what is happening now and back then, which is the program that before, which is the CXO Apprentices, right? So instead, seeing yourself like from university to joining it to your career path right now, if I were to ask you like, maybe one most interesting experience you have had when you were in the CXO Apprentice program, what would it be? So it can be fun, it can be random, or it can be meaningful. But how would you share your experience generally being that joining that program itself, which is very different with an internship experience, right? Because you were actually in positions as like a really young person that kickstarted your journey in society, and follow C-level positions to actually see how they lead as well. So how was your experience? I'm pretty sure the youth want to know about your experience as well. Yeah, maybe Jonathan can go first.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Veronica. So 2 words I will use to describe this journey. Number one will be exhilarating. So, when you have pumped up music in the background playing, and you're in a bit of a time crunch, that's one. But number two is also meaningful. And maybe I'll start with the meaningful part first before we go to the exhilarating part. Meaningful because I was placed on a project where that's related to 5G and actually helped launch 5G in Langkawi when we had the showcase projects in Langkawi. And what was extremely meaningful was what Digi did was we had VR goggles and we wanted to showcase the power of 5G where you get super high-speed internet with high quality. So when you put on those VR goggles, you can imagine yourself at the top of the cable car in Langkawi, and we had this guest come in, and he was in a wheelchair. So and they were all tourists. So that family itself went up on the cable car. They went up, but the father had to stay back because he was wheelchair ridden, And I was there. And what was extremely meaningful was they were about to take the flight to go back, and they stopped by our booth where we actually showcased that technology. And the father actually got to put on the VR goggles and experience the same thing as what his family just did without being there actually. And at that time, that father actually felt a connection with his family members that's there. And that's why it's meaningful, because I do believe in Digi's mission that is to connect people to what matters most to them. And in that case, it was to help families connect. And it's even more important in this MCO era, right? Where people cannot literally see each other. We have to do such an event via the internet. And imagine if the internet wasn't very good, we won't be able to do all that. Number two, exhilarating. Exhilarating because what I noticed for this program itself, and what's also really fun, is that the CXOs tend to want you to do things that are extremely challenging. So they'll put a lot on your plate, like quite and you have to work a lot just to get it done and to try to meet expectations. But those are not projects that are in the back end, and often they are the kind of projects that will put you right in front of people, right at the fore end. So working on things such as 5G, right now maybe a strategy project, and more recently we had a crowdfunding program, right, which I actually got to be part of. That was so we crowdfunded for our frontliners who are working to resolve this COVID issue or to try to manage it. It means that you do get to work a lot, but you do get the rewards as well, because you got put into like key projects that are really visible, that are really out there. So the key takeaway would be open to new projects. You can accept it first, even if you don't really know how to do it yet, because Digi has an open culture where you can just pop by and ask someone, hey, actually, how do I do this?
Yeah.
So embrace new experiences.
Yes, amazing, cool. So I think it's I guess because I never met you before, right, Jonathan? So I cannot read your body language or whatever. But I think you are really quite a feeling person, because you have a lot of like eye for details in all these little moments and things that you catch, even if it's just a cable car and a guy was using. I really do see a very interesting value from what you say about the program. Like, I think apart from how the program has integrated different kind of experience for you, like professionally and also socially, like you say, crowdfunding for a frontline service, frontliners, right? Because I'm guessing a lot of young people nowadays, even from my generation or Gen Z, they really value impact of their work, not just in terms of, I think from our parent generations of how much we could have a stable life and all, we value a lot of development, and also we value a lot regarding what is exactly the impact of the work that we are doing. So I think through your experience just now, you clearly show me another side of the corporate world in terms of like how much you can also play your role at the same time if you really want a job that can leave impacts as well. Yeah, so that's very interesting. How about Wendy? Like, what's your experience that might be different with Jonathan? Maybe you can share from your point of view as well.
I think since Jonathan mentioned 2 words, I will also go with like maybe not 2 words lah, but also I think 1 word to really describe my experience and how I will really still describe the program until today is empowering. I think people who have met me before, I spoke about this a couple of times, like how empowering the program is because of the mentorship part of it. So my mentor when I was CXO Apprentice was Alban. So he is actually a person who is very fast forward and also very he is very quick in decision and in his thinking. So when I was an apprentice, right, it actually was quite a challenge for me to really try to understand and to get what is he trying to convey in a very, very short time, because to maybe to share a bit also more about the program, right? When you are part of an apprentice, you actually get I think differs also for different apprentice, but for my case, I actually got 30 minutes with the CEO, which is who is Alban, when I was in the program, so in a weekly basis. So every week, imagine you only have 30 minutes with the boss now, so you better figure out what exactly you want to ask me, and also better have an idea and also have even an agenda to know what exactly you want to get out of the conversation. But why as the journey, as the program goes along, why I feel that it's really empowering is also because through this conversation, he actually made me think a lot more about. So he would ask a lot of questions that make me ponder and to figure out the answer myself. I think that's a very interesting part of mentorship, right? And also when he actually also gave me a project. So I think similar with Jonathan. As an apprentice, you will get a couple of projects. So like for me, he actually gave me a project to look into the Malaysian segment of Digi at that point of time. So I was given a project to actually come up with a case study to study about the Malaysian segment and to present to the head of departments of the company in 2 months' time.
Wow.
So he literally just gave me that project and to ask me to work on it, and how he empowered and mentored me along the way is really just through this 30 minutes conversation every other week, and with me coming with prepared questions, and to put all this contents and information together and to just present to the head of departments of the company. So it's empowering. Also at the same time, it could be very scary, and I think like as also coming from a fresh grad, right? It's also like make me when I think back, it's really a kind of the kind of expectation that is looking into you, like even though, I mean, you are the apprentice, yes, but because you are the apprentice, I will also have the equal and or even higher expectation towards you, and because of that, you also gotta just work hard and to just try your best, do your best, and to utilize this opportunity and to, because he already spend that 30 minutes with you every other week. So how do you now also to take that 30 minutes and because and use his trust towards you and to do your best and to also like you said at the beginning, to contribute also back to the program and also to the organization. Yeah, so I think this entire experience actually still kind of push me even as I grow in DG to constantly ask myself and also to be prepared at all times. Like when I go to meetings, when I talk to seniors, if you want your seniors and the head of departments or whoever who is at a higher position to look at you and to respect you the same way, you got to also put in the same effort. You cannot just think like, I'm the apprentice, but what? So, and I think it's really also about putting the same hard work and to just do your best and to take this opportunity. Like I think to if let's say you really want to work very closely with someone who is at such a high position, I think this is an opportunity, but also a very important time for you to reflect and to also do your best equally. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's very interesting because when you were saying sharing, right, a lot of things were coming in my mind, because I think, being Aiesec Malaysia, not a lot of the time, the conversations I was having with national partners or corporates and all, is a lot of people were actually telling like they have hard issues working with young people, right? Like they don't understand how Gen Z work. Like it's not even Gen Y anymore. Like I'm still Gen Y, but now it's already Gen Z. You know, like even I myself, I will consider myself still young, but working with the youngest member, right? Like 18 years old, some they are baby. So what does Aiesec baby means? Their parents were also Aiesecers, for example. I do think a lot of things comes in both ways, right? One thing you highlight a lot here is really about youth empowerment, because seeing a company willing to invest time, even though it's 30 minutes, right? But 30 minutes to actually involve young people in the conversations of leadership, and also the amount of trust and empowerment in actually allowing people to see how much we are trusting in terms of what young people can do as well, you know, in today's world, or even vice versa, like what you mentioned, from you yourself, how you can add value as a young person to also bridge, I would say, the gap. Even though a lot of the time when we tend to have this kind of conversation, we would just tend to push it to one side, like either it's the old generation that is not flexible enough to change, or the young people that are not understanding, you know, like the common sense and all. So I think that is a very interesting sharing. But maybe from Chilling's perspective, right? Because since you mentioned you were the program manager, like you leading batches of apprentice before, what do you see as usually as the biggest challenge of like these people who join the program? So usually when you're leading them, I don't know if you will feel like they are your babies or whatever, like when you see them suffering, going through the challenge, like what Jonathan said, being, you know, whacked from left and right. So what do you observe they usually would have?
So I think a common observation from the apprentices is that because I guess it's also because it's their most of them it's their first jobs. They are a bit more cautious about how what are the right and wrong things to do, and in a way, some of them has the tendency of being a bit risk averse and very a bit too careful in that sense. In the sense of if I'm given all these projects, should I take it on? What if I'm overloaded? Some of the common questions that I tend to get. But like what Jonathan said earlier, like oftentimes you'll be thrown into a project, but it's really about how you just grab onto the opportunity and just figure it out along the way. An analogy one of my bosses told me before is you're like a rubber band in a way. So it's about learning how much are you able to stretch yourself. And only you yourself will know what that limit is before the rubber band really snaps. And it's how do you train that that stretch so that you can actually take on more and more as you go along. And I think this even starts from even in uni itself. And I think probably that's if I were to link back in terms of my Aiesec experience, in terms of how I managed to balance being a full-time student and at the same time a full-time Aieseccer, and how you then really find time for both without sacrificing one another. And that experience just expands into your career, where it's not then balancing between academics and organizational work, but then about managing different portfolios or different projects that you have on your plate. And it's really about how then do you take on more, because the more you take on, the more you grow as an individual and the more opportunities that will also come your way, and hence that's also how you progress in an organization. So it's really that embracing that fear of failing and just going for it. And after all, Digi is an organization which really preaches on innovation. We are really keen on trying new things, and hence it's really to really maximize on that and go all out to see what comes out of it. Because you will be surprised at the end of the journey how far you came along.
That's nice. So I think then before we go on with like more questions from the people, so people, you can actually already start putting questions if you have any along the way. We will answer to your questions later, and I will direct the questions to them straight away. So last one from Wendy and Jonathan, right? Like since we already hear from Trilling's perspective, like from a leaders of mommy perspective, how has things been going? But for both of you, right? If I were to ask you to, let's say, describe, like very short one, maybe just one sentence of advice for maybe whoever that's joining as like a sneak peek or teaser of how they could confront the challenge that's coming, what would it be? Yeah. So any of you can go first.
Jonathan, you want to go first, or you're waiting for me to go first?
I think I'll be the gentleman here. So ladies first.
I think you mean the challenge to apply to the program, or in general towards the workforce, is it?
Yeah. So for example, if you were to
question
share a very short one, like maybe a sentence as an final advice you want to give whoever that's joining. So what would be the advice, is it?
Okay, I think is to be real and be genuine. I think just be who you are, because I think Digi really values diversity a lot. I think when we look into the hiring, and I think even across my team today, we really see people with different personality, definitely also, you know, gender. I think Digi, I think we have 40% female, also in the overall workforce, in a company, at the employees. And so I think really just be yourself, and I think everyone has definitely something to bring to the table. I think something to echo on something I also mentioned earlier on in the discussion is to own your story, because everyone, you need to have your own story to tell. Just like when you guys go for, I mean, whoever who is applying here, who is also watching, I think when you guys go through the application, you will meet all sort of people. I think like in hindsight now, when I think back, I wouldn't say I'm the smartest person in the group. And definitely that's not the reason why I think I was selected as an apprentice. Because I feel like everyone really has different strengths and weaknesses. And so at the end of the day, it's also about how you can, you know, present yourself, and then you can just let the CXO decide, you know, like whether you will be the right fitting also to the organization. Yeah, so just don't lose yourself, you.
That's nice. And how about from Jonathan?
Okay. I would say to connect back to what we had discussed a lot earlier, I think number one is to know your whys. You probably won't get an answer as you go through life. Your whys may change, but the answer is not to always stick with that one why, but to evolve it as you go along. Then number two would be that be brave, embrace failures. What you see as a failure right now may not be a failure to other people. So connect with other people. That's where you learn that, hey, you see things in a better context. And then number three, the last one would be that life doesn't always work in a straight line. For some people, it does. They are very lucky. But for a lot of people, it doesn't work in a straight line. There'll be twists and turns and sudden U-turns, you know, here and there. But it's okay, keep going. As long as you keep learning, you keep finding people who are different from you, who can help you out, you would be okay. You may not be thriving yet, but you can put yourself in a better position to thrive tomorrow. Yeah.
That's nice. I think both of you bring out quite a different perspective, because I think Wendy was focusing a lot on finding who you are and also having a stand on yourself, even while you're going through all the challenges. But from Jonathan's side, it's also regarding, you know, taking the chance and the opportunity while you have to really connect with people. Yeah. So I think through all these conversations that we have on the whole night, we have had a lot of different insights, whether it's regarding what kind of things we need to have as a young people, a future of career, or whether it's something that's more internal of their Aiesec experience, or ever their experience in Digi itself. So I have got some questions here from the peeps, and I would just ask you. So any of you that you want to add on to the questions, feel free. So first questions is, describe a day in a life of apprentice. So for example, how will your normal routine actually look like? Because we have here a lot, like what are the values and learning that you get, but maybe it would help them to visualize what does it look like actually going through a day as an apprentice. So you can also highlight funny moments, it's totally fine. So yeah, like maybe from Wendy or Jonathan, you can go with it as well.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
So first of all, you got to be buying coffee and also croissant for the boss. Just kidding. Okay, I mean, because I think Alban like to tease me a lot on this lah. He will always like, buy me coffee, buy me this, buy me that. But I mean, it's just a way of teasing and all that lah. No, definitely you don't have to buy coffee on the first day. But yeah, maybe only on the first day. But I think as an apprentice, I think it kind of also differs. Depends on the project that you are working on. But I think a typical day is that definitely you will check into the office. But of course, we in Digi, there's no, we don't have to punch card and all that stuff. So it's also a lot on our flexibility and also our own discipline to be at work. And then depends on also whether I will have meetings on that day. So I think maybe I will share one interesting day that I had was actually a day where I attended an analyst call together with the bosses. So an analyst call is basically a call where a Digi do in quarterly basis to our investors. So this is one of the interesting meetings that I got to attend as an apprentice back then. And yeah, and so then that day will be an interesting day already because first I got to attend to the meeting, and typically I will follow up that meeting with maybe a quick catch up with also Alban, and then to ask questions, or I will usually also drop him a note for questions that I have and etc. Yeah, I think that's one. And then maybe also another one that I can think of is certain like business reviews and also meetings with the top management, where you really just get to sit in and to listen to how they discuss on topics that sometimes maybe you wouldn't even understand. But I think it was a very interesting observation to see how their thought process is, and to really just observe and also look at how they present themselves as the top management of the company. Yeah, I think, but a typical day, I think it requires also a lot of your own discipline as an apprentice to ask questions. Like if you're working on certain project, then you really have to be proactive to maybe block certain seniors or the department heads time to look for those answers. Yeah, I think a typical day of an apprentice, it is kind of like that.
So I think maybe for Jonathan instead, I will put up another question so we can have more diverse perspective, right? But based on like, so what Wendy mentioned was like, it's funny, but also I think it probably also reflects a lot of like the internship experience in companies and all. But let's say from Jonathan's perspective, how do you think this thing is really different than, going for an internship or even a normal job itself? Like, what is your perspective on that? What do you think is like really the key values that make it very different than what other experience could have provided?
Number one is, so two things. Number one will be mentorship. And number two will be the fact that you get placed on projects to projects. Of course, number two is going to vary from CXO to CXO. It really does depend. For me, instead of rotating between departments, I get put on projects to do different kind of projects. So you get the breadth of experience in that sense, because normally in a project you will work with multiple departments at the same time, and you sort of get to understand the faces behind those projects, but you also get to understand how they work a lot better. So I'll start with number one regarding mentorship. Mentorship is important for me because sometimes life, I like to do a lot of long distance running. Some people do yoga, but I do running. Of course, now with MCO in place, it's a bit more difficult. But when you go to a stadium and run, right, normally there will be a track that you can run in, and it's sort of fixed for you. You just do your laps, ensure that you finish it on time, how much distance you want to cover, and that's it. But when it comes to the working life, it's like going through muddy water. You can't really see where to go ahead. And mentorship comes into play is that you really do get to learn from a sifu or someone that has gone through it before. Of course, your experience will not be the same as theirs, right? Because times have changed, the situation is different. But you get to learn certain insights. And on top of that, you get to see how they view the world and how they make decisions. And these are key takeaways that would be very, very helpful. And I needed a lot of that because I studied international relations. It's not a course where you get a fixed job after that. In fact, my own parents literally asked me, you know, what kind of work are you going to do? And I was like, actually, I don't know, because I went through the UPU system. For those of you who went to public uni, you don't exactly get to choose what course you get, you know. So you just have to take what is there. But that is sometimes life. You have to take what is there and make the most out of it, right? Some people they say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. But I like to say you make lemonade and sell, then you make a profit out of it. That's even better, right? Then on the second part, being on different projects is also very good because you get that breadth of experiences. And just to add on a typical day, right? Not only do you get to have the experience different parts of Digi, but as for me, I was placed on the 5G Open Lab project where I got to manage the 5G Open Lab end-to-end. So we actually have a lab to test out new technology in Cyberjaya.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because you get to see what the industry is doing as a whole. So typically in a given week, you will have new companies coming in wanting to test their new technologies up in the lab, and you also get to learn about them. And when you interact with these stakeholders, you get to learn where they're coming from, their background, what's the vision of the future that they have. And hopefully you get to see a little bit of those inklings of where Malaysia may go in the future. I think
that's very interesting.
Are key takeaways. So have an open mind, that will help you. Embracing your failures will also help you a lot because failure is a bit hard to avoid, but if you can pick yourself up and move forward, it'll be really helpful. Yeah.
Cool. So I think both like what you and Mandy have shared, we actually speak a lot. I think because of both of your personality as well, it's a lot on. I think I've spoken about these things since beginning of the conversation, right? Like not just what the program is providing, but I think from what I hear from two of you, it's also a lot of how you consciously take out of how big the exposure and the network opportunity that this program is actually providing to you. So I think that's really very like eye-opening for myself as well. So I would choose the next question that is more relatable to majority of the people. So questions that are a bit too specific, we will answer in the chat or we can come back to that later. So one interesting questions, right? So from what Trilling mentioned just now, that a lot of people are more cautious or more risk averse, for example. So sometimes when even as peers or we in our positions that we want to help our friends or family to stay out of their comfort zone, a lot of the time, these kinds of conversations might seem challenging. So based on your own experience of even, mentoring the younger ones or even yourself, would you have any advice in this in terms of how do you also play a part in helping them out of their comfort zone? Yeah.
So I think on this is really about how you also walk the talk. So I think based on at least just reflecting back on my when I was in uni also, everyone always saw that I was busy in Aiesec, and sometimes people don't understand why. But you also then have some people who then will see what how that has changed you in the process. So I have close friends who never chose to be in Aiesec, but has seen how the Aiesec journey has then changed me to who I am. And it's sometimes not about really forcing it onto someone, because not everyone really wants to live a life where they need to squeeze in everything into their schedule. Some people actually just want to live a more simple life, and that's a personal choice that you would need to also respect. But it's also, I think essentially it's really how you lead yourself in the process by being that example and showing them how this kind of extra activities then helps boost out who you are as an individual, for them to inspire them along the way. So it's a bit more passive approach, but like they always say, always start with yourself before you try to influence others. How do you lead yourself then in the process, and others will follow suit.
Cool. Very interesting, because I think I definitely agree on the part on sometimes it's you also have to come to the point where you have to respect certain personal choice of people. But I think walking the talk is a very interesting perspective, because I don't know, at least at my current age, you do have to believe that when you keep doing something consistently, people around you will also be impacted somehow, some way, in their own time zone, in their own timeline. They will someday understand why you are pursuing all these things, and also why you choose to be the person who go for this experience much earlier. Yeah. So I think we are coming a bit to the final part of the life itself. So we do still have quite some questions. I'm pretty sure that we can still post up the answers to these questions. We have people, they are answering that, and also we can follow up back on the questions again after live. So maybe as of the last questions to close this up, we spoke about the advices for whoever that want to confront the challenge in the apprentice, right? But I'm pretty sure a lot of, like what Shirley mentioned just now, you receive 1,000 over applications and all. So what would be instead like your honest and also genuine advice for whoever that want to sign up for the program to make themselves prepared for the experience itself as well? Yeah, can be from any of you.
Maybe if I have to keep it short, it's really to be yourself. The often thing that most people try to do in an assessment process is that they try to be a perfect version or an ideal version of themselves. What we are trying to look for is who you really are. And maybe Wendy could also share the kind of question from Alvin in her interview. But it's really not about being perfect, but really being yourself. Because the person that we want to have with us is the person you are on a day-to-day basis, not the person you are just during that interview. Yeah.
That's very short and precise. Thank you so much, Trilin. How about from Jonathan and Wendy? Like, what is your own experience being someone who have already experienced that, for example?
I think to add on to what Trilin has said, maybe I'll just share one question that Alvin asked me. Maybe he will ask the same question again. I don't know, but tips, right? Yeah, so he actually asked about, I think two things that I remember very vividly. I think one is he actually asked about my family. So he asked like how many family members that I had and what they are doing and questions like that. And also the second question he asked is actually about my volunteering experience. So when I was part of Aiesec, I actually went for this global volunteer program back then. I was in Indonesia, right? So for 6 weeks, and he actually asked about that 6 weeks experience volunteering. So I think from these two questions, you will see how our CXOs really also value your story, really, about who you are. So it's really your story more than your stat, not just about your CGPA and all that. I mean, those are important things, but also really about who you are as a person. So not just that, but also story.
Cool.
I think then to something also on my end that I've really learned, and I think something that whoever who looking to apply should expect is to really look beyond the job description of CXO Apprentice. So whatever that you're looking on a website today might not be entirely the case. So, but you know, be prepared to be agile and look for job crafting more than just the job description. Craft your own journey, craft your job, and also to also make that experience the experience that you are looking for, because you are in charge. Yeah, that's all from me.
That's very nice. Thank you so much, Wendy. And yes, final words from Jonathan, who opened up and is going to close our life as well. Yes.
I would say like keep an open mind, just to add on to what Trilin and Wendy has said. Keep an open mind, really do explore. That is one of the values that we do practice at Digi. I believe that I tried my best at living that this past year. So two things. Number one, watch more videos on Digi and on the industry. So you can go to YouTube, look it up, so that you can imagine yourself actually working in the place. So sometimes cultural fit is very, very important. It's not because you're not talented, it's not because you're not hardworking, but you need to be able to gel with the people that you work with. And really, if you think about it, sometimes work is kind of the same wherever you go.
Yes.
But what makes the difference is really the culture and the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis. Digi has a nice culture. It fits. I've enjoyed it so far. So I hope that you as the applicant will get to enjoy it as well. But to get a flavor of it, to taste it, go to Digi's YouTube channel, watch a few videos that will help you a lot. And then number two is that I actually had very little understanding of the telco industry. I knew about mobile phones and I knew about mobile plans because I buy them and use them, but I didn't know how the telco industry actually works. So a good tip for you is to look things up ahead of time. Then you can show your interviewer that even if you don't really have full knowledge, but you show that you took the initiative and you were interested. So look it up online, maybe Google up 5G, Google up telco industry, maybe read through the AJM report. These are things that will be helpful for you. At least you have a little bit of background. Yeah.
That's very nice. So I think one common thing that I get the whole night from all three of you and also the last part of sharing, I think it has been a very authentic conversation. That's what I really love about this talk tonight, because a lot of the things that you were saying actually were really opening up my mind in terms of how things were working in a corporate industry as well. And how much you value of a personal personality, you know, a lot of conversations about be yourself and all. And I think as of final message that I would like to add on to whoever that's here is that definitely I think upon application is already not the time to that you want to. I don't think things can be just, you know, put into the CV and wanting to be branded the moment you are in the application. But whoever that's in first year, for example, that's over here, you still have time. And I do think more effort should be put in really building up who you are, you know, like volunteering experience of what Wendy has mentioned, or even open up your connection, talking to more people, getting to learn more, experience more, and really putting the hard work to work them out before you even reach the opportunity itself. Because sometimes the only things that makes you miss the opportunity is because of the steps that you have missed before this on all the time where people have been using to really build up as who they are. Because I think a real content as a person that is not something that you can just, you know, put it out on the table the moment you're applying to a position. So I think whoever that really are interested to apply for it, I wish you all the best. And also thank you so much to three of you. I had a very, very amazing and wonderful conversation tonight. So I think that's it for the live itself. I think for the last part, I will quickly pass back to Lermin so that she can close up the live and also follow up with some call to actions that we have. Also, we'll put up the application link at the chat as well. So, Lermin, do you want to take over?
Yep, sure. Okay, so here comes to the end of our live session. Really, thank you everyone for your authentic and also insightful sharing on your own university and also working experience. I would say it is not like your working experience, but it is your own personal story. And also thank you very much for your for the powerful closing from all of you towards the people who are going to apply. So throughout the live session, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you might think back a lot of your university moment on how you actually join university event. As in, currently we can only talk to each other with your classmate or with your lecturer through virtual. I'm pretty sure throughout the sharing, you might think back a lot of your university moment. So let's just not stop here on like what your university experience is. So okay, so you can get like at the end of the live session, we just wish that your not only the three speakers from the one who are speaking about your university life can be heard. We also wish that your own university experience can be shared to more people as well, because even though it might seem ordinary, but I would say even though it is ordinary, but it is also a special experience for you as well. So we are launching Insta story post. So you can get this post this photo, Insta story photo from the comment box later. And then what you have to do is just to fill in the blank and also share it on your Insta story, and then hashtag Digi CXO and also mention Aiesec in Malaysia. So let's not keep your university experience for your own as well. You can share it to more people so that other people can learn from your university experience. And moving on as well, it's also we are talking about a lot about the program, the Digi CXO Apprentice program, right? So you might be curious on what is that, and also a lot of you might have interested to apply and also wish to know more. So this is the QR code where you can scan and link you to the information page. So I will put out this QR code for a while. So, and then you can scan it through your phone and to know more about it. At the same time, the code will be posted up to the comment box as well. So for those who is interested and wish to apply, you can just click in through the comment box. Yep. So if no more questions, that's all for today's live session from Digi as well as from Aiesec. So hope to see you all again next 2 weeks. And at the same time, clicking the link if you wish to apply as well. And also, thank you everyone for your time. And I hope that you have a very good night tonight. Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Veronica.
people. Bye. Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Vinny, Jonathan, and Trilin. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Lermin.